The Ministry of Health MOH expects the Omicron wave to subside in the next 1 to 2 months, thus allowing Hari Raya Aidilfitri to be celebrated in early May without movement restrictions. However, Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said it all depends on public compliance with control measures, including by taking booster dose and getting children vaccinated. Khairi said a spike of COVID-19 cases due to the Omicron variant was not only experienced by Malaysia, but also other countries.
Jadi saya harap bahawa kita dapat menstabilkan pandemik ini dalam tempoh masa sebulan ataupun 2 yang akan datang. Negara-negara lain mengambil masa dalam sebulan 2 sebelum mereka melihat gelombang Omicron itu turun. Kalau kita mainkan peranan masing-masing, dapatkan dos menggalakkan anak-anak kita untuk dapatkan vaksin, insya-Allah kalau 1-2 bulan Omicron ini turun, selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri.
He said this in a press conference on COVID-19 development in Putrajaya yesterday. On 23rd January, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob gave the government's assurance that there would be no movement control order, MCO enforced and travel restrictions during Aidilfitri this year. Meanwhile, Khairi said the country was still on track in managing COVID-19 infections and the Omicron wave. He said this was largely contributed by the high vaccination rate among the adult population in the country. On another matter, Khairi said the Johor state election can still proceed as planned as the Omicron COVID-19 variant infection proves to be less severe. He added that the Ministry of Health recommendations in regard to the standard operating procedures SOPs for the polls had been finalized and submitted to the National Security Council MKN and the Election Commission EC. According to Khairi, the SOPs for the Johor polls will be announced soon.
Pendirian Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia adalah memandangkan Omicron setakat ini tidak menunjukkan kesan yang teruk seperti Delta, dan semua data yang saya sebutkan tadi bahawa kesan dia adalah tidak seteruk Delta, maka pilihan raya negeri boleh diteruskan.
On 22nd January, Sultan Ibrahim Sultan Iskandar of Johor consented to the dissolution of the Johor State Assembly to pave the way for the state election. The EC is scheduled to hold a special meeting tomorrow to fix the dates for the polls. The COVID-19 National Immunization Program for Children, PIC-Kids, which kicked off in Labuan yesterday, is expected to run for a month. Labuan Health Department Director Dr. Ismuni Buhari said the immunization program would involve at least 11,600 children between 5 and 11 years old. He said the existing vaccination centre, PPV, at the Dewan Darul Kifayah would be used for the vaccination exercise, which operates until 8 p.m. on weekdays.
Kita cuba menghabiskan dalam masa 1 bulan ini, di mana kanak-kanak ini kita mengambil masa sedikit disebabkan oleh kita perlu memberi kaunseling dan perlu memberi penerangan yang jelas kepada keluarga-keluarga sebelum kita memberi pemvaksinan tersebut.
He said this after launching the COVID-19 National Immunization Program for Children, PIC-Kids, at Labuan Hospital yesterday. To create awareness on the importance of getting the vaccine for children, Dr. Ismuni said engagement sessions with parents and Parent and Teacher Association PTA representatives, as well as counselling session, will be held. He added a Facebook Live questions and answer session would run next week for parents who want to know more about their PIC-Kids. Earlier during the program, 20 children aged between 5 and 11 years received their shots. The number of flood victims in Pitas has gone up to 719 from 236 families at 8 a.m. today, compared to 313 people from 96 families last night. Sabah Disaster Management Committee Secretariat in a statement said 4 flood relief centres, PPS, remained open. The PPS at Dawan Kampung Sinukap housed 510 victims from 170 families, while the other 3 PPS are at Dewan Sekolah Kebangsaan Pekan Pitas 2 with 81 victims from 28 families, Dewan SK Rukom 55 victims from 17 families, and Dewan Kampung Kusilat 73 victims from 20 families. All the PPS were activated to house residents from 10 villages in Pitas, which were inundated following continuous heavy rains since Sunday. The weather remained fine this morning statewide. A Thai crew member of a local fishing boat was reported missing after the fishing vessel capsized at about 5 nautical miles northwest of Pulau Paya, Langkawi at about 10:40 a.m. yesterday. 16 others were eventually rescued after the Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency (MMEA) initiated a search and rescue following the incident. Kedah and Perlis Maritime Director First Admiral Muhammad Zawawi Abdullah said the SAR was activated at 11:15 a.m. and 2 MMEA vessels were dispatched. He said 16 of the 17 crew members, including the boat skipper, were rescued by 2 local fishing trawlers before being transferred to MMEA rescue boat. The victim, Fanu Tarurak, remains missing. The Class A trawler was believed to have suffered a seawater inlet hose damage, which led to water rushing into the boat, leading to the capsize. Divers from the Royal Malaysian Navy, TLDM and Civil Defence assisted in efforts in locating the missing crew member. Coming up next, Kedah Rubber City to create 15,000 jobs by 2025. Kedah's achievement in attracting 57.1 billion ringgit during the first 9 months of 2021 echoes the state's resilience in generating a firm income amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. According to its Menteri Besar, Datuk Seri Muhammad Sanusi Makno, political stability and strategic location were also drivers of investment capital inflows into the state. Datuk Seri Muhammad Sanusi expressed confidence that more investors would come to Kedah in future and bring economic spillover to the state. The Malaysian Investment and Development Authority, MIDA, in December announced that Kedah was the top recipient of approved investments in the country in the first 9 months of 2021, with a total value of 57.1 billion ringgit. Speaking during the state-level Chinese New Year celebration last night, Datuk Seri Muhammad Sanusi said the Year of the Tiger will continue to usher in prosperity to the people of Kedah. At the event, the Menteri Besar also gave away ang pao to the needy and non-governmental organizations, NGO. Meanwhile, Datuk Seri Muhammad Sanusi said the state's economy made a strong rebound last year on the back of private investment in the export-driven manufacturing sector, particularly in the production of rubber gloves, electrical and electronic products and renewable energy. Investment growth for Kedah, the Menteri Besar said, will be further sustained with the implementation of high-impact strategic projects such as the newly launched Kedah Rubber City, KRC. The KRC is one of the federal government's national strategic projects implemented via the Northern Corridor Implementation Authority (NCIA), with the aim of making it a leader in the development of Malaysia's rubber industry, as well as a global hub for high-value rubber industry. The project would directly benefit rubber smallholders in Kedah, most of whom were still living in poverty. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, who officiated KRC yesterday, Malaysia's first dedicated rubber eco-industrial park, said it has the potential to create 15,000 jobs by 2025 through 10 billion ringgit projected investments. The national strategic project, located on a 500-hectare piece of land in Padang Terap, would see a huge economic spillover besides boosting the rubber smallholders' income through consistent demand for natural rubbers. This season's Malaysia's Hockey League MHL is set to lose its luster now that defending champions University Kuala Lumpur UniKL will not be competing. Malaysian Hockey Confederation MHC Competitions Committee Chairman Datuk Seri Dr. Anil Jeet Singh said that UniKL, champions for 3 consecutive years from 2019, failed to submit their final confirmation form to compete in the 2022 MHL, which is scheduled to be held from 18th February to 31st March. The committee said then unanimously agreed to replace the league champions and 2021 Charity Shield winners with the MHC development team for this year's men's category of the MHL.
Dan kita akan replace dengan National Development Team Men. Sama seperti perempuan, ini daripada MSC kerana banyak pemain-pemain nasional seperti awal yang saya bagi tahu, kita nak tengok dorang berpotensi, kita nak train dorang dan kita memonitor dorang punya average permainan semua.
On the MHL curtain raiser, namely the 2022 Charity Shield match between league champions UniKL and 2021 TNB Cup winners Terengganu Hockey Team TNT on 18 February, Datuk Sri Dr. Anil Jeet said the matter could only be decided through joint discussions with all the affected parties. He also hoped that all the competing teams would take full responsibility to protect themselves as best as possible during the MHL so as to prevent COVID-19 infection. Updates at noon. In our top story, MOH expects Omicron wave to subside within a month or two. Tune in to News at 10, coming up at 10 p.m. on saluran Berita RTM on My Previews channel 123. You can also stream the news by surfing RTM Click. Thank you. I'm Azlani. Stay tuned for TV2. Goodbye for now.